Well, that certainly looks good on him, doesn't it? Hey everyone, and welcome to one of my first movie discussions on my channel, in which we break down an event or theory in any media related occurrence and get to the bottom of what exactly happened. In today's episode, which is a Star Wars themed one, we'll be discussing the famous rumor and idea that Baby Yoda, otherwise known as Grogu, will be turning evil in most likely Mandalorian Season 3 and beyond. And I know this might be hard to believe, seeing as this cute, cuddly creature closely resembles Yoda, who we know to be one of the greatest Jedi Masters in Star Wars. However, do not be fooled, as Baby Yoda is only sharing with Yoda the likeness of his species and nothing more. And to be on the aware side, Baby Yoda is far from a baby as he appears to be in the Star Wars series, and is actually older than the Mandalorian himself. Additionally, there have been reports and moments in the series of Baby Yoda showing a dark side very similar to that of Anakin Skywalker, a previously famous good Jedi turned bad guy character who is arguably the most popular in the Star Wars franchise. So in this video, I wanted to actually review the plausibilities of this idea of Grogu turning evil and what it would mean for the Mandalorian series. But we'll get into all of this good stuff in a moment, as now I kindly ask you to blast that subscribe button with your little stormtrooper blaster guns for more content like this. I'm an aspiring media analyst and critic who loves talking about movies and shows, but that's a story for another time, as I suggest we should plunge right into the Star Wars fanbase and theories, a strange and yet mysterious world of information. Now first, I want to talk about some of the moments in the 2 seasons of Mandalorian so far, where Baby Yoda has exhibited this so-called Anakin syndrome, because obviously there are ideas I can closely relate to as a watcher. If you can recall the time Grogu was kidnapped, he was seen viciously and brutally murdering all stormtroopers that stood beside him, wringing their necks and ending their lives, although he could have ended them in a less gory way. And not only that, but Jedi only kill stormtroopers unless they are given the authorization to do so, and we see Grogu breaking all principles here. Also, Grogu is shown having visible hate while snapping the stormtroopers like twigs in front of Moff Gideon. This might seem very shallow at first, but to better understand this moment, we'll have to first look at Baby Yoda's gruesome backstory. After meeting Ahsoka Tano, the Mandalorian soon learned a little about Grogu's past and why exactly he feels an attachment to the Mando. Ahsoka reveals that Grogu actually grew up in the Jedi Temple at Coruscant, the hub for Republic enterprises and rookie Jedi in training. Coincidentally, Grogu was training to be a Jedi and was trained by many masters. However, since the famous command known as Order 66 started, an order to turn all stormtroopers evil, all of the Jedi younglings were slaughtered by none other than Anakin Skywalker himself. However, Baby Yoda managed to escape, and shortly after this, his memory goes blank. Ahsoka said that because of Grogu's vicious past, he contains a great deal of fear in him, and this can be best connected by the quote Master Yoda himself said, "Fear is a path to the dark side." Fear is also the main reason Grogu is attaching himself to the Mando in hopes of using him to remain safe and hidden. And furthermore, fear is also the reason that this exhaustingly tall order of Sith Lords found a passion with the dark side. Grogu's fear is what makes him prone to an easy swaying over to the dark side, and I kinda do agree with this specific fact. Another crazy instance this fear was put into light was in Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 7, when the Mando and a friendly opponent were having a casual arm wrestling match. In this scene, Grogu is seen brutally force-choking Cara Dune and almost killing her had he not been stopped. This reveals that to protect his friends and loved ones, namely the Mando, Grogu will resort to using his powers to harm even the innocent. This is eerily similar, if not the exact same, to the case we saw with Anakin Skywalker when he was swayed over, and I can't help but think the Mandalorian writers are setting Grogu up for just that. These instances happen a few more times, once in Season 2, Episode 2, when he is seen eating the eggs of the frog that the Mandalorian was closely working with. This is first of all quite disturbing, as Grogu is basically eating her children and also an own allies like food. What's more is that Grogu was actually seen enjoying this meal, and even after the Mando told him to stop, Grogu waved away the order and continued eating. What even troubles me more is that at least Anakin had a little bit of good in him before he turned evil, whereas Grogu is showing very early signs of that already. This might hint that Grogu is indeed in for a darker surprise, and imagining him in the dark side isn't that weird at all. I mean, Grogu would look pretty fine in a Sith costume and all, but the fact that he is already extremely powerful makes me think he would fit right in. Of course, like all of you guys, I don't want this to happen, but that said, it wouldn't be too wild for the Mando writer to stick that in somewhere. It would also provide an excellent contrast between Yoda versus Grogu, two of the same species that took entirely different paths. If this carries through, I think Grogu could be the key to showing us what Yoda would have looked like if he himself was perhaps evil. What I'm trying to say is that imagine Grogu's surroundings to be a regular old preschool. The preschool is what kind of gets kids going a certain way, whether they are interested in building blocks or math. Except in the world of Star Wars, there's the dark side and the light side, and then a third path to separate entirely from the Force and be a normal creature. Grogu is in this preschool and he is still yet to decide what he is going to do, but in the case of this metaphor, Baby Yoda school is essentially being taught by Darth Vader. What I mean by this is that Baby Yoda is already in a harmful environment with all of the right ingredients to make him evil. If your preschool is taught by someone who essentially has one thing in life and tries to implement it to you, you're surely going to take after them. This is exactly what is happening to Baby Yoda, and what I fear will happen to him if he continues to be in trauma about his past. Additionally, if you recall one of the recent Mando episodes, Ahsoka Tano sent the Mando to a planet where Baby Yoda could decide. It was never implied what was it that he had to decide for himself, but I suspect it might have something to do with which path to take in life and the ever-returning concept of good versus evil, dark force versus good force. This also meant that Ahsoka also sensed a certain unclarity in him that he needed to clear out, a lack of one-way determination that is needed to train in the Force. Perhaps this is why Ahsoka refused to train Grogu, as he lacked the proper steps needed to truly excel in it, otherwise it would have been completely pointless. This also brings me to point out Grogu's actions while trying to take essentially a trial lesson from Ahsoka Tano. In this trial, Grogu was disobedient and not using his force when told to, and for a second this might easily be told off as a child's tantrum. However, I think this is something deeper, as Grogu only uses the force for the sake of violence, which goes against basically every Jedi Master's principle. We all know the story where Yoda taught his disciples to lift the ship with the force and how to be handy with it, but in Grogu's case he only wants to use it to fight and nothing more. This falls perfectly in line with the concept that those on the dark side tend to see the Force as nothing more than a mere tool to use in their killing escapades. This is where I feel Grogu is heading, and it seems to fit perfectly with all of the so-called symptoms we've seen throughout these years as Star Wars fans. And that will be it for today's discussion and movie theory video, where we went over the feasibility of Grogu turning evil. I would gladly like to know your comments down below. Will he turn evil, or will he be a special case? With that said, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content.